Want to go in there? Where do you want to hear? You want to hear? Which one do you want? Cha-cha. I gotta close that window. I gotta get busy, man. Good morning. Sorry for the wait. I had to close up a few things. We're going to jump right in. I put a lot of thought into some things. Suddenly, I got a telephone call, which I refer to as when I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and I'm approved to present on some things. As a mystic, we have a responsibility to not give too much too soon. Not because we're afraid that people will abuse the power, but that's part of it, but because it's just can be overwhelming. And so anyway, something that I've wanted to share with Kundalini for a long time. So we're gonna do the meditation today, but we're also going to explore some other things because knowledge is power. And that's primarily the application of things. We need the knowledge to go with it. So I occasionally also often get asked, why am I qualified to present on these issues and these topics? I think it's a very valid inquiry because I feel the same way when I'm looking around YouTube and etc. And I see all these people propagating and talking all this crap that they just don't know very much about. And that's what's motivated me in this area of my career, is that I've spent my life dedicated to serious study to find the original sources of all these concepts, of all these mystical modalities. Not trends, and that we can. The underground stream, the truth is simple. You know it when you see it, and if you dig deep, then you'll find it. So again, I'm often asked about my qualifications, and again, I think that's a very valid inquiry because I challenge people the same way. I'm like, what qualifies this guy who doesn't know what he's talking about, or this girl that clearly doesn't really know what's going on? What qualifies them to present this? So this isn't an ego thing. This is more for your assurance. And it's hard for me to read from here, even with my glasses on. I'm a 3rd degree ceremonial magician from the Ordo Templi Orientis and have been for many, many years. That's a practicing ritual ceremony. I'm a certified master alchemist from Flamel College, tutored by Dennis Hawk himself. If you know much about alchemy in the world today, this guy is virtually, to me, Hermes reincarnated. I mean, he is just amazing. And I insisted to have him as my tutor, and I was given that because I met him in person. I'm an expert theologue in all religions and most spiritual paths and philosophies throughout the world. I spent my life since childhood dedicated to finding and researching and studying these beautiful religions and paths in their entirety. Again, I never settle for the second hand. I go to the source. The original counts, the saints, the individuals. If I want to read about St. John of the Cross, well, then I read Dark Night of the Soul. So I'm also proficient in numerology, tarot, astrology, Kabbalah, multiple paths of yoga, Buddhism, and I Ching. I present on all these. And we're going to be talking about some of those today a little bit for our meditation. I'm an accredited counselor advisor specializing in crisis and addictions. That's my worldly practice. I also am a certified clinical hypnotherapist. That's very different than just being a hypnotherapist. Certified clinical. That means I have clinical training, and it's profound stuff. Been in private practice for 15 years. Spiritual mystical trainer, coach, guide, and mentor. With all that information, again, I carefully try to bring people along in their own studies. I'm not teaching them to be what I am at all or follow my belief system. It's what's right for them. I present on all mystical modalities and religions and philosophies so that you can choose and make an educated choice of what's right for you. And I'm a pilgrim. I've traveled the world to the most mystical sites. I've been to Stonehenge, sure. I have several that I'm on my bucket list suddenly that just came up from Bob Hancock. The Serpent Mound in Ohio. I'm born from Ohio, and oh my God, this is an absolutely incredible place. I've got to go during the solstice. So I didn't just travel the world. I have been to 15, 16 countries. I've been all over the United States, and I never am going to tourist sites. I went to the Taj Mahal once because it was right there, and I was not disappointed. It was like, whatever. The next day I was in a cave deep underground where it gets me choked up, where Radha experienced Mahabhav, where events took place that are particular to my traditions. So this is kind of what qualifies me. And I don't do this to boast so much as to gain your confidence. I want you to be assured that who's presenting to you has put the time in to present you authentic, real, scriptural evidence. So surprise, we're going to be doing our meditation today, but knowledge is power. We're going to begin with something that I've been wanting to share for a long time, and I just got kind of authorized through what I call the telephone call, 3 or 4 in the morning, waking up, and suddenly it was just a manifested thought that wasn't from me that said, you should include this. I've wanted to for a long time. Since my profound Kundalini event in 1992, first, let me qualify that for a moment. Again, for those of you who've been here, you've heard some of this, but the Kundalini event is not what you hear about online. Very few people have had it in the entire world. And very few people even talk about it who have had it. Most people lose their minds. Literally, they're institutionalized. It's that challenging. It is the difference. I was sharing this with a friend the other day who was asking me about it. And she said, what's the difference? And I said, it's the difference between kissing and orgasm. I mean, they're worlds apart. It's an ineffable experience that you cannot describe. You can't describe to someone who's never been in love what love is. If you ask me, they say, if you've ever been in love, and they say, I don't know, then you know they never have. There are things that if we've been there, orgasm, love, etc., then that qualifies us. And I can tell you, the large number of people that I meet that think they've had a Kundalini event, they're often mistaken, not because they're deliberately ignorant to it or they're trying to craft something that's different, because the information that's out there is so misleading. And so it qualifies according to what's out there, but that's completely off. There's very few accounts that are accurate. This is a mind-blowing, mind-bending, unforgettable experience, more powerful than anything you've ever imagined. It expands the surface of your consciousness to a magnitude where you're physically feeling it. You can feel the expansion of your own mind unfolding like a lotus flower. So we're going to be talking about some of that with today's meditation. But again, the link, since I had my Kundalini event, that I started to view every mystical modality under the lens of my Kundalini event and my perceptions of expanded awareness and consciousness. And so I'm a certified master alchemist. And I saw the absolute direct relationship that alchemy is literally talking about the Kundalini event. Most mystical modalities are talking about the actual Kundalini event. But over time, as it traveled from India, etc., things get changed, words get changed to adapt to different cultures and landscapes. So we have 7 stages in alchemy: calcination, dissolution, separation, conjunction, fermentation, distillation, and coagulation. And this is exactly what we're experiencing in these meditations. The stages of the Kundalini event is exactly that. There's 7 because there's 7 chakras. So the connection, they're not just connections. It's not coincidence. Alchemy is actually a science, turning lead into gold, of transforming your consciousness. And it is a westernized, communicated Kundalini process. Similarly, as I'm a big, huge fan, I'm a master alchemist, but I'm proficient in Kabbalah. I love Kabbalah. I love the knowledge. It's just so thorough and complete and so beautiful. Once again, 7 levels, 10 Sephiroth, but 7 levels that align up perfectly with your chakras in the tree of life. The downward current in us is the manifestation. That's what tree of life expresses. Kether to Malkuth, to physical manifestation, from thought, from spiritual energy to physical manifestation. The lightning flash, which is shown in this image, depicts that bolt of divine essence and power descending down into the physical body, into the soul. What Kabbalah doesn't necessarily focus enough on, to me, is the ascending current. And it does, but it's a little bit more veiled. The ascending current is just that, liberation to the crown chakra, to Keter and above, to Ein Sof and Ein Sof Hour. I'm sorry, I'll reverse that. Ein Sof Hour, Ein Sof and Ein, which is above the crown chakra. So the connection with these things is relevant, and I've wanted to speak on it for years, but I've always separated them and taught each modality individually on their own and refer to the Kundalini event with them. But they're talking about the exact same thing. These are paths to enlightenment. And this is what the Kundalini event and Kundalini yoga and Kundalini meditation is truly about. Now understand something. The Kundalini event does not cause full-blown absolute enlightenment, i.e. as in Buddhahood. It brings you to the threshold. It gives you a sample of it. It lets you see it from where you are. I'm a little bit in the dark, I guess, but I'm going to leave the lights on. So we're going to, again, start with a little bit of knowledge before we do our meditation. Yoga Kundalini Upanishad is the original source of Kundalini Yoga. So why would we go anywhere else? We have access to the Yoga Kundalini Upanishad. The Upanishads and the Vedas are the original sources of all these knowledges. It's where they all come from. That's why I became a follower of Sanatan Dharma and yoga paths and bhakti, because as I went down the rabbit hole and throughout my youth, looking for the original sources, figuring that's where the truth was, it always kept leading me back to what we call Hinduism, which is Sanatan Dharma, the Upanishads and the Vedas. So the Yoga Kundalini Upanishad is where we're going to begin today. So hold on to your head, Fred, because the Upanishads basically take a guru to understand them. Let's take a look. Here's an excerpt from the Yoga Kundalini Upanishad, which teaches you about the Kundalini process. There are 86 sutras in this Upanishad. In chapter 1, I think it is. There are 3 sections. Here's Sutra 11. Bear with me. Then the wise man should bind the Sarasvati Nadi by means of this lengthened breath, and holding firmly together both his ribs near the navel by means of the 4 fingers and thumb of both hands, one hand on each side, should stir up Kundalini with all his might from right to left, often and often, for a period of 2 muhurtas, 48 minutes. He should be stirring it up fearlessly. Then he should draw up a little when Kundalini enters the Sushumna. That's the central column, like the spine. By this means, Kundalini enters the mouth of Sushumna. Pran, also, having left that place, enters of itself the Sushumna, along with Kundalini. By compressing the neck, one should also expand the navel. Then by shaking Sarasvati, prana goes above to the chest. Did you understand that? No, and neither do I. And you can study it a lot. One of the first things that these texts remind us is that we need a master guru, because we, with material minds, are not qualified. We do not have the capacity to fully understand these things. All the information to execute every path of enlightenment is in the Vedas and Upanishads. Everything you need is there. But you need one other factor, a guru, an enlightened master who's achieved and attained it themselves, to share with you and explain it to you so you can understand it and do it. So there's literally several descriptions of exactly what to do to arouse and awaken and activate Kundalini. You can't make sense of that. And as you try, and as people continue to try to unravel this, they'll get their own little interpretation. And this is where things go wrong. You may not miss the bullseye by much, but a missed bullseye is still a missed bullseye. So we're still going to go forward today with our Kundalini meditation. I'm going to continue to talk about. One of the first things I want to impart to you is that if you're delving into Kundalini or any yoga, revert to the Upanishads and get a master, not some guy who thinks he's a guru or says he is, an enlightened being. They're always on the earth. How do you find one? You don't. They find you. You surrender your will and your spirit with all your heart in desperation, begging for them to come, and they come. That's how mine came to me. So this is the sutra from the Kundalini Yoga Upanishad. That's one of 86 of them. Good luck. And then there's also the Yoga Darshan by Patanjali, which is very important. And the first thing that Patanjali says at the beginning of the Yoga Darshan is, it will take you many lifetimes to pull this off. And few will succeed, very few. And it takes complete 100% commitment, not 99.9, but 100%. Multiple lifetimes. Few will ever make it either way. And it takes 100% commitment. You can't be involved with anything else. Then he says, or you can just do bhakti. Anyway, let me explain to you about the 8 paths of yoga, about the Ashtanga yoga and the Yoga Darshan path. And I'm like, wait, what, did he just say, or you could just, what was that? He slipped that in there. Yes, especially in the age of Kali, which we are in. We're 5,000 years into a very long phase of Kali, you're going to have a very dark one. Bhakti is the ultimate path. And every path of yoga, every path of meditation, every path of mysticism leads you to the threshold, to the doorway of enlightenment. It does not take you there. It takes you to the threshold of it. And then you surrender and you do devotion. You do bhakti. If we want to complete the process, Kundalini brings you to the threshold of it. Yoga, any path of yoga will bring you to the threshold of Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, etc. Brings you to the threshold, right to it, right to its doorstep. But you still must do bhakti and surrender your mind, your spirit, and your will to an ultimate form of God. So let's go into this Kundalini now that we've kind of give you some of that. Knowledge is power. I feel a responsibility to share that with you. So we're not doing bhakti today, we're doing Kundalini. But keep in mind that when and if you ever awaken and arouse and activate your Kundalini, the entire point of it is, and at that moment, is to do bhakti, to surrender. And that's just one word that uncovers an entire Upanishad itself. Thousands of sutras is bhakti, and yet it's so simple. So we'll talk about that another time. Let's talk about Kundalini. So what we have, again, some of this knowledge before we do our meditation, is the system. We have a descending current, as we've just spoke about with Kabbalah, and an ascending current. We have the 2 nadis, the 2 basic nerves that you have in your spine. The subtle version, the subtle body form of that the physical body is built upon, is your ascending and descending nerves. In this sense, they're not mythical or magical. They are, again, this is the subtle body energies that your nervous system is built upon. So we have the 2 nadis, one going down and one going up. One is for manifestation and one is for liberation. You can see in this image that Kundalini is at the bottom, stored dormantly in our Muladhara chakra. The point of Kundalini is to arouse, activate that Kundalini serpent power and cause it to go up the ascending current, up to the crown chakra, through each one to the crown chakra, to have extreme, perfect liberation, to join our consciousness with the cosmic consciousness, expand the surface of consciousness. Also, to allow the cosmic consciousness, the sublime divine powers, to descend through our descending nerve, through our descending channel, Anita and Pingala, into our system. When Kundalini, the serpent power, our soul power. It's not our soul. Our soul is the Atma you can see there in the heart center. We want to bring Kundalini up into our navel, into Manipura, and use the fire there to cause it to distill and steam, to turn to vapor, and rise into our Atma center, our heart chakra, continuing its journey up through the throat and the Ajna chakra and out to the crown. Here in the Ajna chakra, the ascending and descending currents should meet. And this is what causes the activation. It's not just bringing the Kundalini up into the crown chakra, it's bringing them both up and down, distilling them with every round of current, every round of up and down. Distilling like a still, like alcohol, making it purer and more purified with each round. Rising it up into the Ajna chakra. And when they meet there, when they join, that's when Kundalini event occurs. That's when the crown chakra opens. Now you can see in this image, the lotus petals on the crown chakra of Sahasrara are up. Yes, but they also face down because they pour and rain and drown our soul and our spirit in the cosmic and divine vibrations. So this is the point of this. So this gives you a visual. This is a good tool to use. Have these concepts in your mind. It's not something we want to meditate on specifically because the other just get in the way. But we definitely want to have the knowledge because, again, knowledge is power. We must know how and why to activate the things that we're doing to get the most out of them. So the first round of things is always pranayama, breath. We none of us breathe correctly. And as I was reading to you that excerpt from the Yoga Kundalini Upanishad, that very confusing set of text, one of the things it's telling you is about the breath in its own coded way that you need a master to be able to decipher for you. It's tempting always to get that information from online sources, etc., people that say they know. Again, I can tell you that I've met literally dozens, maybe close to hundreds of people that think they've had a Kundalini event. And upon talking with them further, I respect they have something profound that occurred, but it's not the same thing. And again, as I mentioned to you, it's the difference between kissing and sex. They're both related, but they're not the same thing. And one of them, when you have it, you know it's completely different. The full-blown Kundalini activation event is undeniable and unmistakable. And if you keep your sanity through it, you will never, ever forget it, and you will absolutely know what you experienced. It's undeniable. Again, the reference that I gave you about being in love. You ask somebody if they've ever been in love, and they say, I don't know. Well, then you know they haven't. Ineffable, but absolute. So pranayama is important. We're going to begin there. And we're going to go through our chakras. We're going to take, this is meditation 2. Our first one was us bringing up the earth, the manifestation energies, the liberating current up into our navel chakra, the root chakra into our navel, and then also allowing and channeling the cosmic energies to descend down into the chakra and getting them both to meet there. That's what was our first session. Today, we're going to do the same. We're going to begin with the same thing, but we're going to be taking it higher into the heart chakra. Now, let me qualify for a moment. Obviously, basically what I'm doing is I'm narrating this, and I'm walking you through it, and I'm guiding you along, and so I'm going to be talking through it. We would not do that in a real practice. When I'm on my own, I'm very little clothing. I'm virtually nude in my meditation room, surrounded in an environment that's perfect for what it is that I'm doing. I have no distractions. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not analyzing. I'm certainly not talking. So this is for you to use as reference. And then if you learn these things, then you can take them privately and practice them on your own. So please pardon the fact that it's very consolidated and condensed. A 20 to 45 minute session is condensed into this 10 or 15 minute instruction. And you'll take your time. So I'll explain as I go. I don't do scripts. I kind of wing it as we go. So let's begin with some pranayama. Into the nose. And out through the nose. That's one of the first contradictions that I have with many with many schools of thought. They often are telling you to breathe in or out through the mouth. That's incorrect. It's not what the Upanishads teach us. It's in and out through the nose. One side is your descending current. The other side is your liberating current. So we're going to be doing this through the nose. And if you're congested at all, don't worry. It'll usually clear up. And over time, as you begin to work with your lunar and solar energies on both sides, eventually it will become clear almost all the time. I have no nasal issues anymore whatsoever. I don't even use the little naughty cleansing thing. So let me walk you through this. Now, as I'm breathing in completely, taking in all the breath I possibly can and bring it all the way down to my belly, which you can't see, but it's extending like a pot. And then when I exhale, I'm exhaling everything I possibly can, getting rid of all the unwanted toxins. And so my belly is going concave against my rib cage and back towards my spine. Complete breath in, filling the belly like a pot, retaining it, and then exhale with the belly going all the way back towards the spine. And again, retention. Retention is vital in between the inhalation and after the exhalation. Let's do a couple rounds. My tongue is on the roof of my mouth. That's another mudra. My hands are in the Mamti mudra. I think it's what I forget the name of it. Don't be shy in those breaths. Be aggressive. This is not a gentle, passive meditation. This is an aggressive meditation. Now, as I inhale and retain and exhale and retain, I'm also tightening my sphincter. That's another mudra. So I have three mudras taking place, one with the hands, one with the tongue, and one with the sphincter. I hate to be crude, but that sphincter mudra is very important for arousing Kundalini, because what we're doing is we're basically suffocating that serpent power. It's a living thing. We're suffocating. We're making it very uncomfortable, because it gets restless and uncomfortable because it can't breathe. By tightening and mudra and retaining your breath, makes it can't breathe, which means it starts to awaken and arouse and wants to escape. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to activate the Kundalini serpent to want to escape from its dormant place. After several rounds of this, when it becomes comfortable and easy and natural, I'm going to escalate it up. I'm going to do alternate nostril breathing. In through the left is always where we begin. Complete and full and retain, and then out to the right. Complete exhalation, concave, and retain. And then into the right. Out to the left. Into the left. Out to the right. Into the right. Out to the left. Continue with this for a moment. I can tell you, yes, this can be very complicated, especially when you're new at it. A student recently told me, said, I can't possibly retain all that. It's okay. It took me a long time too. Don't expect to get this right away. Continue to practice. So I'm making this video so you can refer to it. You can find a lot of things online that will tell you about the alternate nostril breath. Into the left. Retain. Out to the right. Retain. Into the right. Retain. Out to the left. Remember that with each retention, I'm tightening the sphincter muscles and putting pressure on that Muladhara chakra, suffocating that serpent power. making it awake. I'm aggravating it. Again, it's not a passive meditation, it's a very active one. It's very aggressive. We're trying to irritate the Kundalini serpent within to make it want to escape and ascend up to find air. Bring your awareness, as we continue doing some pranayama, to your root chakra, the Muladhara. As you progress and as you become more comfortable, you can, with your exhale, involve the seed sound. La. Retain, tightening the sphincter. Retain. When I'm not narrating and directing, then I'm also thinking about, I'm visualizing and concentrating on my Muladhara chakra, which is basically between your anus and your genitals. And I'm going to progress with the breath. And I'm going to bring this up mentally, trying to focus and direct and bring the root chakra, the manifesting power, up, arousing Kundalini, allowing it to arise into the solar plexus, into the Manipura, right here in our navel. Kind of skipping the abdomen in this, but you would involve that too some. Again, extending my belly with the inhale. The seed sound here is Ram. My concentration is on the navel center with this color of yellow. It's kind of orange, a lustrous gem. You can do alternate and also breathing through this too if you like. I usually do. The concentration here is to arouse and focus and direct the root chakra energy up through the soul, up through the abdomen, and up into the solar plexus, into the Manipura chakra. Trying to gather it there. Several rounds of that. I can assure you that when it starts to work, you feel it in a physical way. It has a sensation. Subtle at first, more over time. This chakra, the Manipura, think of it as a cauldron. The Muladhara chakra below is the fire. This is the fire, the solar plexus also. We're gathering the energies here and we're heating it. And we're also, this is the ascending current. We're also going to bring down the descending current, spiritual divine essences, down from the crown chakra. So we're skipping all the way up. Imagine and focus and direct and allow. Imagine your head is an open bucket, an open bowl. Cosmic and divine energies can pour and cascade through your crown chakra. An open flower. Nectar of it. Pouring through the crown chakra. Flowing down through the nadis, through the descending current. All the way down into this solar plexus, into your navel. So we've got one coming up and one coming down into the navel chakra and storing it there. Continue with the mudras. Locking of the sphincter, tongue on the roof of the mouth, retention of breath. As far as directing, just imagine, use your imagination that these energies, the earth energy, is coming up from your feet through the middle of your body, coming into your navel center, and the cosmic divine energies are coming down, and they're meeting and gathering and being stored in this navel chakra center. We'll bring it all down into this Manipura lustrous gem. You can visualize this lotus symbol in the center. It is what it looks like. You can use the seed sound. For several rounds of this, with your breath, with the seed sounds, all the mudras put together, it's a little bit complicated, but I can assure you, over time it becomes very natural and very easy. For me, I don't think about it much at all. It's all natural. I'm not anything special. I've done it a long time. Practice makes perfect. After spending some time gathering the energies from descending and ascending currents into your navel chakra and imagining it like a cauldron, an oven, where you're setting it on fire and you're turning that matter and that energy into a steam, a vapor that begins to be able to rise. That serpent power rising up from that root chakra into your solar plexus, and we're heating it even more, making it more irritated, more agitated, to make it want to escape. Where's it going to escape to? Into our heart center. The Anahata. The element here is emotion, passion, love. Should bring the stored and gathered energies from above and below that were in your solar plexus, and now we're allowing and breathing them into the heart, which is where our Atma, where our soul is residing. Green is the color. The seed sound is again, retention. Retain. While I'm doing this, I'm visualizing, I'm imagining, and directing those energies from above and from below to get that gathered into the navel chakra and transporting it, directing it, channeling it up into my heart center. It's all done with your own mind. Something a child can do with their imagination. Thought is energy. What you think, you become. Bringing the breath, the energy, and appreciate and honor the peace and beauty of it. I know you can sense it. It's a natural thing the moment we shift our focus to it. Keep your intention pure. The intention is not power. The intention is to purify, transcend, so that we can become beings of light and spirit. Not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience. Your intention is important. Bring these ascending and descending energies that we've gathered in the navel chakra up with intention of love and purity. And now we're going to do both. Again, the descending currents from above and the ascending currents from below to gather into our heart as we were gathering them in our navel and our solar plexus, that they're stored in. Now we're bringing them up in the center, into our heart center. So bring them both together, joining in the middle. Using your mudras, the tongue on the roof of the mouth, locking your sphincter, keeping your hand mudras, retaining your breath, suffocating that serpent, agitating it, arousing it. Think of it more of arousing. It's very phallic. As it arouses, it becomes stiff and erect. Even though it serpentines through the chakras, it wants to rise up. Hard to have multiple thoughts at once. You're ascending and descending currents and energies, both from above and below, gathering into your heart, into the green, lustrous, anahat, emotional feeling chakra. Let's take some time there. Gather these energies, the same as we did in our solar plexus, same as we did in our navel, gathering the energies, honoring them, appreciating them, loving them, allowing them to love us. In the heart center, where your soul resides, the infinitesimally tiny soul power that resides in the heart center. It becomes easy over time to feel the sensations of this. We can often wonder, am I imagining this? Am I just conjuring this in my own head? Am I really experiencing something? First of all, what does it matter? Imagination is real too. Thought, energy follows thought. So as you acknowledge this, you will experience it, the actual sensations of it, in your body and in your mind. It's paradoxical. It's peaceful and gorgeous and beautiful and simultaneously arousing, stimulating, and exciting and powerful. Kundalini is not gentle. If you want, you can visualize and imagine an actual serpent, serpentining, one going down, one going up, gathering in this heart center. Just gathering, they're not meeting. Every breath. Continue your retentions to suffocate and stifle that serpent power and make it continue to rise. Otherwise, it will descend back down and go dormant again. Want to keep it agitated. Never let it rest. Aggravate it. Irritate it. So it wants to rise and give you its power. And now we're going to take it one step higher. Those energies of descending and ascending currents that we were gathering as vapors in our heart chakra, we're now going to allow them to arise even further in the liberating current into our ajna. Our third eye right in the forehead. Our seed sound is the primordial sound, the original primordial. Retain. After several rounds of this, you start to imagine and direct and visualize these two currents starting to move quickly, trying to catch up with each other. We're going to allow them to unite. They come around each other and they unite. They meet and merge and join in the third eye chakra. Seed sounds are very powerful. It's the vibration of them, lingering on them, and the vowel sounds. These currents do not literally and actually need to join into our Sahasrara crown chakra. They join in the ajna. And when they join and meet, they basically explode. They expand. They activate each other. And that causes the crown, Keter, Sahasrara, to open and unfold the 1,000-petal lotus. And it's called this, it's actually the many-petaled lotus. And I can tell you for a fact, from actual living experience, that when it occurs, it literally feels like it is unfolding, opening. It never opens. It's just always opening. A constant unfoldment of the surface of your consciousness, becoming somewhat omnipresent, omniscient, breaking the boundaries of space and time. No longer spot existent. The surface of your consciousness expanding, no longer limited to the here and now. When and if you're ever able to actually activate this Kundalini and cause that crown chakra to open, be careful what you wish for. You can't just will it back closed. It's a very powerful, intoxicating, altering event. It becomes very difficult to function in the normal world while you're having this experience take place. It's kind of like an ongoing psychic orgasm, but very profound. It's felt on every sense. Physically, you can feel it expanding and unfolding with layers upon layers. I gave visuals in the first meditation. Some video that I thought were very appropriate. So giving you some basic rounds on this. Let's close this and wrap this down. I don't really know how to stop it because I don't see the point in stopping it. If you are having your Kundalini meditation, there's no need to alter or stop it or cease it. You can get up and go about your business and do the things you need to do. The whole point is to remain in a meditative state. That's what bhakti yoga is. To maintain constant awareness of the divine presence with you all the time. That you are Atma and there is a Maha Atma, Paramatma, Supreme Being. When and if we can become 100% conscious of the divine essence 100% of the time, then we become God realized. It's not enlightened. Enlightened is liberation of consciousness, omniscience. God realization comes with it. Yes, Jack, it is common for you to feel your body temp rise, and that's actually a very good, powerful sign. Your body temp is rising when you're doing this, and it's not for everybody. It doesn't always, because again, you're using your Manipura chakra as a cauldron, allowing the heat from the root chakra to heat it like a stove, like a pot, to vaporize, to cause the matter that's within our energies within it to boil. And what comes from that? Steam. That is how we get the serpent power to rise, taking it from a dense form to a vapor form, to a lighter, subtle form, that allows it to rise, because steam rises. If your body temperature is rising, if it becomes uncomfortable, then slow down. We didn't do fire breath today. In the first meditation, I gave you fire breath, and I do recommend that. I always do fire breath. I was kind of absent-minded today. We had so much that we're sharing, so it becomes very complicated. Fire breath will absolutely make your body temperature rise. The fire breath is to ignite and activate that cauldron, that fire beneath it, to vaporize those energies. However, the alternate nostril breathing can be a cooling breath. Balance it out. Don't get too hot, because again, once you start this, if something starts to occur, it can be irreversible. The reason the Kundalini Yoga Upanishad and all the others are so complicated is because A, it is complicated, and B, because it takes a lot of preparation. The guru, the master that is required to actually teach you to do this effectively and is to do it safely. Preparation is essential. In the first meditation, I introduced the preparation. Vegetarian diet is virtually essential. I think it's the only rule in true spirituality, is that eventually you don't want to take on the karmas of living things and the people that participate in their destruction. And you're taking on subtle karmas from them. The natural purification you get from the simple shift to a vegetarian diet is phenomenal. You get a lot of bang for your buck. You're getting a lot of bonuses, a lot of benefit for relatively minimal effort. Everything else you're going to be doing, the pranayama, the mudras, the yoga, all the asanas, all that, this is complicated and strenuous and difficult. Vegetarian, pretty easy, especially nowadays. When I started, a little bit harder. 70s, I don't even know how they did it. That was just garbage. They were literally eating like vegetables. I'm not big on that. So prepare, because if you do have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening and you're not prepared, the reason Kundalini events go wrong is literally because the energy in a chakra is blocked. And when you try to get Kundalini to bust through it, it burns stuff up. It is dangerous and powerful, and people lose their minds, they get sick. So we want to prepare as much as we possibly can, clean up our lives, clean up our diet, be healthy, be fit, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. This cannot be overestimated. I am reluctant to teach a lot of this because the responsibility that is required to make sure that people do it safely, because anyone that has a spontaneous awakening because of something I taught and loses their mind and gets institutionalized, which is common, I don't need that on my head. I don't need that karma. I'm trying to give you the safe, intelligent ways to do this with all the accurate information from the Upanishads themselves. I will share with you as we begin to close. Here's a beautiful image of This is not much how it feels. I mean, Alex Gray is an amazing artist. He clearly has had a Kundalini event, because there's no way that he can possibly depict this off theory or secondhand. There's just no way. The guy gets it so much that when I look at his images, I mean, I am so emotionally moved, so intensely excited and aroused by just what I'm seeing from his images. Because that is what it feels like. All I can tell you is what that looks like is what it feels like when you're having the expansion of your consciousness. Where was I before that? Oh. About the preparations. Very important. The first meditation has information in it and techniques that this one does not. It's an evolving thing. Oh, I was going to share, which I have never really shared, and I thought a lot about this and wasn't going to. The event that I had, I referred to it as a initiation brought to me by an initiatrix who was trained in tantric techniques. I was very vague in that. I'll be more specific now. It was completely sexual. She basically didn't know that this would happen to me. She had done this many times with many people. She was a sex worker in many regards. She was somebody I was very involved with, very much in love with. She'd been trained in this technique for other purposes. And she did not know it would occur to me. She knew it would be a powerful event, but she did not know that this would happen to me. It never happened to anybody else that she had done anything like this with. My past life Kundalini experiences and work put it on the cusp. She was as surprised as I was, maybe a little less, because I mean, I was completely surprised. I had no idea what was happening when it occurred. The factors were that she and I were very close. We'd known each other for many lifetimes. We were remembering all of that very clearly with regression, not vaguely, but I mean extremely clearly. We're both very powerful, mystical individuals, very well trained. And through a process of over 90 minutes of rounds of, you could call edging in today's sexual practices, combined with a tantric energy movement of breath and other things that she was capable of doing. Me, I was just laying there. I wasn't doing it. I didn't know anything about it. Bringing somebody to the brink of orgasm and then letting it recede. Bring the upward current up and then letting it descend and go down. Multiple rounds of this for over 90 minutes until when an orgasm occurs, it goes through the crown chakra and out the top of that. It rises up the spine. You've completely aroused and suffocated the Kundalini serpent, causing it to become more and more potent and distill. Basically, in a sexual way, I could term it as kind of like stacking your orgasms. I'm not recommending it. I'm not advising it. I'm not saying it. I'm sharing with you some of the details. There's more to it. It doesn't mean if you do this thing, it's going to happen. Again, there's a lot of stuff involved at the time, where I was, who I was, past life stuff. And again, once it occurs, it's an undeniable event. So I'll share with you some things that are very close to me. The awarenesses that I've had throughout my life and career as a trainer and as a coach, etc., with alchemy and Kabbalah and other mystical modalities that to me are undeniably speaking of the exact same thing in Western terms. Western mysticism is different than Eastern simply by terms. So we're going to be going into more of this in the future. But let me do a little self-promotion. Then I got a conclusion here for you. So hold on. A little self-promotion. Spiritualtrial.com is where my main spiritual site. I've also got life-mind.com. That's my clinical site and for my books as an author. So do readings, live sessions, mystic gangster training and workbooks. Lots of material. I train people through live sessions and through packages that they can buy, and sometimes it's no live session, whatever they can afford. It's about indoctrinating and giving you the real deal truths, the workbooks and the things that I present on. They're very detailed, and they aren't just theories. They're ways to use them. I'm always working on more. I'm working on a big book right now for them. So please visit spiritualtriangle.com. You can email me direct at krishnanand@spiritualtriangle.com and take a look around. There's a lot of free stuff there that I think will benefit you. So let's conclude back on some of the knowledge. Let me sum up again the meditation. It seems, I feel almost concerned that as I present a meditation workshop, that very little time is spent in meditation, because meditation isn't done that way. Meditation is a solo private event. I'm teaching you the mechanics. I'm teaching you the practice. You have to take that and apply that to yourself in your own private space. Again, I have a beautiful meditation room that's dedicated just for that and nothing else. I don't eat in there. I don't sleep in there. I don't watch TV, nothing. It's purely a meditation place that's adorned with images and other things around, including my altar. That is a pure environment of meditation. So between the first and the second one, I'll probably do a third. You combine these things together and you're getting the real deal. I'm giving you decades of knowledge and practice that I've learned and applied, and I can tell you for a fact that it works. I've reached some very profound states. As far as it activating Kundalini, it sustains mine, but the full-blown opening activation event itself, again, it goes dormant if you don't know how to sustain it. And I didn't know, because I didn't know anything about it when it happened. It was completely new to me. Didn't even know what it was called. And my initiator, she didn't know either. So with my years of practice, I have not yet been able to reactivate the full-blown event. And it frustrated me for a long time. And then I set it aside and I didn't want to do it because I'm doing bhakti. And suddenly, for many reasons I won't go into, I was inspired to consider reactivation of the full-blown Kundalini, as life-threatening as it can be. Again, I live a sattvic lifestyle. Vegetarian, healthy, fit, spiritually, mentally, etc. So I think that's a good time for me to do it. I've got other reasons too. That's a process I'll share as it evolves or devolves. I don't know. It's unlikely, as I shared with you that passage of the Upanishad, how complicated, even what I'm sharing with you today. And I'm sharing with you so far about half of what needs to be done for Kundalini meditation. There's more. So you can see how complicated it can be. It's unlikely that anyone's going to actually have a Kundalini event through these practices in this age. And yet many have. Gopi Krishna. Thank God for him, because when I had no idea what was happening to me, I came across his book. Not came across, he was brought to me. I mean, I found it. And he was the real deal that had the full thing. And so it does happen. His was spontaneous, as many are. And he tried for decades to have to cope with it, because it was difficult to manage, to say the least. He's a brilliant man. Died in the 80s, I think. And so these meditations, whether you get a full-blown event or not, will definitely stimulate, activate, and arouse your Kundalini and expand. Certainly nothing bad can happen from it. Nothing but beneficial. So I'm not teaching anything that'll be bad for you. Whether it achieves your desired result, I don't know. Again, it's unlikely in this age of Kali that you'll be able to have a full Kundalini event through meditation. The age of Kali is complicated. Kali Yuga and Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is the real name of Hinduism. I don't like that word, Hinduism. Sanatan Dharma means eternal truth. It's the eternal religion. There we go. So Kali Yuga and Sanatan Dharma in the Vedas and Upanishads. There's only about half or less of the full scriptures of Sanatana Dharma available in the world today in Kali Yuga for various reasons. Muslims destroyed a lot early on, and things get lost to antiquity, etc. The bottom line is that's what Kali Yuga is all about. And the unusual thing is, for example, Ayurvedics, part of the Vedas, about the medicines and the health and the diet and all those kind of things. I'm into Ayurvedics, and I use that. It's been a life changer, lifesaver for me on many levels. But for example, Ayurvedics is the complete school and science on sustaining health and well-being, complete, mental and physical. And there are multiple volumes of it. Back in the day, in ancient times, an Ayurvedic practitioner had one set of volumes that told them what to treat and how, what to treat, a second volume to tell them what to treat them with, and a third one to tell them how to make the things and put them together and where to find them. Literally, one of the volumes would say, like, if you need this mushroom or this herb, walk to here, take 40 paces to the east, take a left, walk for 15 paces north, whatever it may be, and look down. There's a rock right there, and lift up the rock, and you'll see the herb that I'm talking about. The Vedas, the Ayurvedic Vedas, were that detailed. That third volume that I'm referring to is completely gone, doesn't even exist anymore. And so the best we have is partial information. Partial knowledge is a dangerous thing. We do pretty well doing yoga and using Ayurvedics in their current form. They're still pretty good, and they show tremendous benefits, and they're very effective, and I love them too. And Ayurvedics, I've had life-changing, miraculous results from when Western medicine was doing nothing for me. But it's still only a part of it, and it'll be that way for a long time. So go easy. Think of your spiritual practices as preparations. Again, keep your intent pure. It's important to know that if you're not achieving the right results, you're not doing anything wrong, not deliberately. You don't have access to the right ways. Ultimately, in all of the 108 Upanishads, the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, etc., every one of them consistently tells you one specific thing: get a guru. That you will not be able to apply and get the results from any of these until you have an enlightened master. Enlightened. Like the Buddha, omnipresent, omniscient, not a person that's wise, nothing like that, well beyond that. And they're always on the planet. Very few in Kali Yuga, but they're here. Some are in caves in the Himalayas, so they're kind of hard to find, but they do exist. If they're not accessible, they're radiating their divine presence to help balance out the toxicities of the earth. And many of them are in disguise. They're right here among us, and they'll never disclose it. They're also there to kind of balance out the toxicities in the environments. And some of them come forth and become known, like Kripalu Maharaj. He is, you could say, a Mahaguru. He is, so we get, fortunately, we've had several. Chaitanya, also Shankaracharya. So they're there. Don't settle for less. Be restless, like your Kundalini serpent spirit within you. Be restless. Arise to the top. Achieve and settle for nothing less, and continue to strive to reach to the top of the zenith, the pinnacle of your achievements. With this commitment and dedication, this is the spirit that will activate and bring the right things to you and bring you the results that you seek. So last little promotion here. I don't know why this is here. I don't really like this post. So yeah, like the channel, visit the website, blah, blah, blah. I don't like doing this whole marketing thing. I'm just not into it. So, all right. We've been a little bit over an hour. Hope you got something out of this. The other videos are on the site as well. I think the next workshop I'm going to do is on Kabbalah. I love it. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. I used to do a lot of presentation on Kabbalah. It's fun. It's exciting. It is exactly Kundalini. It's easy to use, even though it's complicated, which is challenging, which makes it kind of fun. What I love about Kabbalah is, and for a while I wasn't fluent at all, but I could speak Hebrew. I knew all 22 letters of the alphabet. I mean, it's absolutely just an amazing system that's so powerful. I mean, it's not easy to use because it's very complicated, which for me, I love. I mean, I adore it because it is challenging and intellectual. And I like that stimulation. But it's one of the few, kind of like I Ching. I Ching is about action, not theory. Tarot, numerology, astrology, etc. Those are more about theories and philosophies than actions. However, if you are interested in one of my readings with numerology that combine numerology, astrology, tarot, and sacred geometry, all in one reading, it's a profound system, the spiritual triangle. Profound. It's absolutely amazing. I don't just give you predictions or tell you what's what. I give you actions to take, exercises to participate in, to express and enhance your knowledge and your experience. I'm not satisfied with just giving you the knowledge. I've got to give you ways to apply it and use it. So the readings that I provide to people that can cover their entire life or just for a month, please go on the site and check them out. They give you instructions. That's all about I Ching. Oh, that's what I'm the one that involved I Ching with spiritual triangle. It was a modality with numerology, astrology, and tarot. And I took it to another level. And I tied in I Ching, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, and the Tree of Life with Kabbalah. And it was just mind-blowing. It was like they were meant to go together like the other three. So again, it's about application, what you can do with these things. And I think I'm very excited to, as I'm speaking out loud, I think I'm going to have to do it, is to do some workshops on Kabbalah. They're a lot of fun. It's magical. It's mystical. It's beautiful. It's very symbolic. And it's a great way to use these modalities and really gives you very clear instructions on how to experience things and elevate. Kabbalah is all about the ascending and descending currents and about the manifestation of anything you want in your world, but also to escape and to be able to liberate from material phenomena. So that'll be coming up soon. Thank you for inviting me into your space and time. And thank you for joining me in my space and time. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'll see you another time. Stay in touch. Radhe Radhe.